Everybody, we are back. I'm Christopher Green. You're tuning into AMTV Alternative Media Television. It is, of course, Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. And Hillary Clinton admits she's fainted a few times, but can't remember. Yeah, this is supposed to be the president in the not-too-distant future. She says she's fainted a few times, even though she denied it before. She just can't remember, like, how many times she's collapsed. You know, this is the person, by the way, the radical leftists want in the highest office of the land. Somebody who faints repeatedly and then says on national television that she can't remember. Hillary can't remember how many times she's fainted. Take a look at this clip from CNN.
Let me ask you, your husband said tonight in an interview with Charlie Rose, he said, quote, "Rarely on more than one occasion over the last many, many years, the same sort of things happened to her," meaning you, when she got severely dehydrated. Can you say how many times over the course of the last, say, 5 years you've been dehydrated and gotten dizzy? I know you passed out, hit your head back in 2012, which led to the concussion. How often has this happened?
Oh, I think really only twice that I can recall. You know, it is something that has occurred a few times over the course of my life, and you know, I'm aware of it and usually can avoid it.
So, like, it's only happened a couple times, she thinks? I don't know, she can't really remember. I don't know, was it twice or like 3 times or 10 times that she's collapsed and fainted? I don't know, it happens. She's aware of it. Yeah, the next time, if she became president of the United States, God forbid, she might just like collapse when she's like speaking to Vladimir Putin or negotiating at a round table or something. She just collapse, you know, and just go face first and do a head plant if, God forbid, a Secret Service agent isn't there to break her fall. She can't really remember. You know, she faints all the time, right? It's just, you know, kind of common. In fact, we're going to go to a video in another segment where Bill Clinton says something pretty striking. But she can't really remember, folks. Yeah, it kind of happens on a regular basis, but don't worry about it, though. She's totally fit to be president of the United States. Donald Trump isn't fit, according to her, but she's totally fit. She just, you know, kind of sort of can't remember when she collapses and, you know, potentially does head plants, like she did just a couple of days ago. Even though we've been reporting on this for months, and the mainstream media has failed to report the truth up until now because it's so readily apparent that we're being lied to. And that we can trust our own 2 eyes. In fact, it's kind of funny. The top comment on this clip is from a user named George Bush. Who knows, maybe it's actually the real George Bush, who says her campaign is finished. Winning, Donald Trump, winning, as Charlie Sheen would say. Someone says, "I sure as heck hope so." So it made me kind of think yesterday, I was, you know, looking into this further. You know, we talked about the spiritual side of this, like the divine intervention, you know, happening at the anniversary of September 11th, 2001, the 15 years. You know, it's like, what does she know that we don't, right? You know, that the heaviness of knowing the lies that she must know, you know, behind closed doors, the impact that the September 11th, 2001 terror, you know, attacks have had on so many people's lives. The cover-up, the conspiracy that makes up the controlled demolition, or what it appears to be, of Building 7, because remember, folks, buildings just don't fall down on their own. This is something Donald Trump would know very well, being a builder himself, and it will probably release to the public once he becomes president of the United States the truth about 9/11. Again, what does she know? It's almost like there's divine intervention where she collapses and her knees and legs and ankles buckle and she's, you know, thrown into the backseat of a van. You know, I had a friend send to me on Facebook like a wishing well card for like Hillary that a lot of people, you know, on the radical left are highlighting and liking. Like, get well soon, Hillary. Hopefully you're enjoying your dogs and stuff and your grandchildren for the last 24 hours. Again, I don't wish anything negative to anybody regarding their health. But when we know it's a bold-faced lie, like, honestly, how stupid are Hillary Clinton's voters and constituents? They're idiots. They are the sheep that we warn about all the time. And believe me, I understand that, you know, Donald Trump isn't a perfect package himself. That we're very much engaged in a, you know, one-party system, that there isn't 2 parties. And, you know, people tell me, well, you know, be careful for what you wish for, Christopher. And I think there's truth to that. And again, I have issues with Donald Trump in certain areas. For example, his call for increased surveillance, and some of the things that I think are concerning regarding free speech, for example. And as we've talked and discussed, one of Donald Trump's biggest weaknesses, which they highlighted in the town hall they did about a week or so ago, the commander-in-chief town hall, is that he lacks the political experience. And the way he needs to combat that is by surrounding himself with individuals like Newt Gingrich, et cetera, that make up his cabinet, that have the Washingtonian experience to back him up, to surround himself with good advisors. But it got me wondering, in addition to the divine intervention, this spiritual warfare that we're clearly fighting, the good versus the evil, the light and truth and goodness versus the darkness and the blackness. I did a pretty poignant video on YouTube as well yesterday, which you haven't watched. If you haven't watched it, I encourage you to do, because God, folks, is everywhere. But it made me ask the question, is this potentially some kind of psychosomatic disorder? Maybe some of you have heard of this before, but basically, psychosomatic means mind, the psyche, and the body, soma. If you look this up at WebMD, patient.info is where I pulled up the definition here. It says a psychosomatic disorder, it is a disease which involves both mind and body. Some physical diseases are thought to be particularly prone to be made worse by mental factors such as stress and anxiety. Again, what does Hillary Rotten Clinton know that we don't know? I mean, anytime there's serious questions being asked, or she's standing trial, let's say at the Benghazi Gate hearings, we get this. Excuse me, let me get a lozenge. Or she's falling and collapsing into vehicles, or fainting, but you can't really kind of remember when and how often that happens. Could it be some kind of mind-body psychosomatic disorder connection that unconsciously triggers in the back of Hillary Clinton's mind anytime she's under stress, feels a little anxiety, the truth about 9/11 just kind of raises her blood pressure a little bit. She starts thinking about all the lives lost and the bold-faced lie they told us, and she knows the nitty-gritty of all this. Probably like the Pentagon, there wasn't a plane that hit it; it was a bomb or a missile, and that it could have been American forces that shot down the alleged plane that supposedly the Americans overtook and drove it into the ground. I mean, the details, only God knows what she knows behind closed doors. Only God knows the skeletons in Hillary Clinton's closet. So it's almost like her health is failing, and she's literally flailing as a result of a potential psychosomatic disorder. This mind-body, some would argue, and I would maybe argue, a spiritual connection, this divine intervention. Again, this has happened repeatedly over a long historical track record. The coughing fits, the seizures, the fainting spells, the double vision, the collapsing. Take a look at this clip from, I believe it was the Benghazi hearing just a few short years ago.
I thought the perfect choice to work with Ambassador Pickering. As you know, he was nominated by President George W. Bush to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs. He served as Chief of Naval Operations. He led NATO's Joint Force Command, U.S. naval forces in Europe, commanded a missile cruiser, a missile destroyer, a tanker. He served in Vietnam and the Persian Gulf. Excuse me.
You need some water, Madam Secretary?
Would you like to take a 60-second, 2-minute break?
No. Just let me grab a lozenge. So, Congressman, I had the utmost confidence in both of them.
Thank you. Let me say this. You know, this hearing began with the chairman reading a list of questions that he claimed were unanswered. In fact, those questions had been asked and answered many times. As a matter of fact, when we go back to the last questioner, you know, it was Speaker Boehner who, as a matter of fact, last Tuesday, Madam Secretary, Speaker Boehner acknowledged to Fox News the allegation that the U.S. government was involved in an illegal weapons program in Libya has been, and this is according to him, investigated by the House Intelligence Committee and debunked. That's what Speaker Boehner said about this illicit weapons transfer situation. Do you want us to hold up, Madam? Okay. And so, going back, today, so these questions, again, were many asked and answered. The new documents we obtained and the interviews we conducted don't contradict the conclusions from the previous investigations. They simply confirm them. Even after this marathon grilling,
I thought the perfect choice to work with Ambassador Pickering. As you know, he was nominated by President George W. Bush.
Again, folks, this is a very, very healthy woman. Like I said, it's the game operation. I mean, how many different examples, there you go, Facebook, do we have of these issues, disorders, seizures, fainting spells, broken elbows, concussions, transverse sinus venous thrombosis, recurring coughing fits, now alleged pneumonia, hypothyroidism, deep vein thrombosis, elbow fracture, double vision. Even a report from 2005 that I digged up, just again to show more and more evidence of this as having a historical track record. Hillary Clinton faints during speech in 2005. Again, this has been going on for a long, long time. Folks, I got to go to a quick break. Everybody stay tuned. Thank you so much for your tremendous support. I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV. Hard hitting it in your face. We'll be right back.